Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today for this ManageEngine Log 360 whiteboard session. In today's whiteboard session, we'll be talking about the Hermetic Wiper. Now, what is the Hermetic Wiper? Well, as the name suggests, it is a wiper and it was first noticed on February 23rd, just a day before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Several Ukrainian organizations found that their data had been completely wiped and their systems were rendered unusable. So this was the Hermetic Wiper at play. The reason it was called the Hermetic Wiper was because it made use of a signed certificate from a company called Hermetica based in some other country. It was found that the Hermetic Wiper affected Windows devices as well as Intel machines. And the objective, as I told you, was to wipe data and make systems unusable, completely unusable. So as you can see here, this is the way that the attack chain of the wiper actually works. It all starts with the malware deployment, and this can be achieved through several methods. It was found that one of the major ways in which the malware was deployed was through GPOs. So there was an Active Directory compromise, and the malware was deployed to several machines. Once the malware was on a victim's machine, it would then unzip itself and a driver file would be created and it would go to this particular location. It would be in the system32 folder under drivers. And it was the EaseUS driver where this malware was actually tagged to. So that's where the problem actually began, right? And from there, what it would do is it would disable crash dump. The reason it would do that is because sometimes there would be system crashes and the wiper wanted to make sure that the victim would not know what the cause was. So it would disable crash dump and it will also escalate privileges. So it would actually go ahead and get the privileges to initiate a shutdown. It would gain privileges to read files and it would also gain the privileges to run the driver. From there, the driver would load as a service in the system memory. And whenever it loads as a service in system memory, it becomes that much more harder for the victim to detect it. So that's the reason it would run as a service in system memory. It would delete registry keys. It would modify the registry keys to hide certain NTFS operations that it would perform down the line. It would also disable VSS. So this is the volume shadow copy. The reason it would do that is because a lot of organizations, what would be the first thing that they do when they are hit with a malware? Well, they would go and look in their shadow copies and try and retrieve those files. But because it disables VSS, well, that's not going to be possible anymore. And then, of course, like I said, it performs NTFS actions. It would perform NTFS parsing to enumerate all physical drives and collect the required data. So it would know where these files are located. From there, as you can see here, it would go on to overwrite certain locations, the master boot record or the MBR, the master file table, and of course also some Windows files, program files, and user files. So if you were to go actually and click on any of these files, what you would see is gibberish. You would not make head or tails out of it. So all of that data is completely wiped out. Ultimately, what's going to happen is that the system would be rebooting and the victim is going to be displayed this particular message, no operating system installed, right? So that is how this entire attack kind of plays out. One thing that I wanted to kind of tell you as well is that in the beginning stage of the attack, when the attack actually starts, when the malware is actually unzipping, if you go into the task manager and you look at the processes that are running, you'd see that there is a gift icon associated with the process that runs. It's as if this attack is a gift from the from the attackers, right? So yeah, it's kind of in a way funny that they would use a gift icon to do this. So yes, this is the main kill chain of how this attack actually transpires. Now, how do we detect against this? How do we use a security solution like Log360 to detect this? Well, there are certain things that you could do. First thing, you would want your SIEM solution to detect the malware. So at the time that GPOs are being used or GPOs are being changed, you'd have to detect that and your SIEM solution will have to support you for that. Likewise, if PowerShell is used for the deployment of the malware, you've got to know that PowerShell is used. Whenever any user account uses PowerShell, you've got to be able to track that. Any unusual process that runs, well, you've got to track that too. And anomaly detection can help you a lot when you want to detect unusual processes. So in case a process runs in your environment and that process has never run before, well, that's an anomaly, and you can use your SIEM solution to detect that. You'd also be able to detect the fact that files are being changed and files are being deleted or wiped off. You'd be able to detect that. You'd be able to detect the fact that certain services are being run from memory using a SIEM solution. Likewise, you can also detect registry changes and modifications if you audit your sysmon. So these are some of the ways in which you can actually detect the threat. And of course, in case you want to respond to the threat, well, you'll have to respond to the threat. You want to log off that user account, or you want to take that machine off the network. Well, those things are possible with an effective SIEM solution as well. So yes, this is what I wanted to cover in this whiteboard session today. Thank you all so very much for listening to me. And in case you want a demo of Log 360 and how it can help you defend against the HermeticWiper or any other such malware, please let us know and we'll be happy to schedule a demo for you. Thank you so very much once again, and I hope to see you all again soon.